So today on Simply Happy Conversations, I'm talking with Niina from the podcast Together Through the Storm. She is a passionate special education teacher and inclusion specialist, and she's also a mother of 2 deaf daughters. And so today I have asked her on the podcast so she can share some tips for parents and parenting children with unique needs and how to also carve out time for yourself, which you do really well, Niina. So welcome, Niina.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Narelle.
No, thank you so much for saying yes. I would love for you to start and share with us, if you were a Barbie doll, what 2 accessories would you come with so we can get a bit of insight on what you like to do in your spare time and if you had more spare time?
That was such a fun question. My initial reaction was like 2 little girls that are
Yeah.
like come everywhere with me. But when I do have time, I think my accessories would be a bathers because I really enjoy going to sauna and ice baths at the moment. That's a big passion of mine. And the other thing would be probably a yoga mat because whenever I get a
Oh, yeah.
chance, I try to go for a yoga class.
Yes, and I haven't crossed paths with you recently.
That's right.
And so do you have a favorite place that you go to for a sauna and cold plunge?
Yes, absolutely. So there is a place called Sauna,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, Sana, so
Sauna.
Sana, on Torquay High Road. That's absolutely I can warmly recommend that place for everyone. They have a beautiful firewood sauna and really cold ice bath. So that's a beautiful place to relax and unwind.
That bath is absolutely freezing. It
Yeah.
is so cold. And because you have to drop yourself into it,
Yeah.
I find it was really difficult. But beautiful place and nice and small and intimate, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. It's like
And
a
they
little
seem
piece of Bali in middle of Australia, I feel.
and they're popping up everywhere too, all around
Yeah.
Australia. So
Yeah.
maybe just give us a little bit of insight into your background, because obviously you're not originally from
Yeah.
Australia. So
Yeah, so I come from Finland. So we were literally born and raised in sauna. So that's why I love it so much. And lots of Finnish people have been doing cold swimming for a very long time before it became sort of a bit of a popular thing. But there's a lot of evidence behind how good it is for you and your body and your mind and all that. So yeah, that's where my passion towards that comes from. And it's more for mental side of things for me personally.
and have you done it since you were a little kid? Like, is it something you grow up with, or is it a certain age?
Sauna, definitely. Yes, absolutely. Ever since I was tiny. So I just had a little puddle pool in the sauna, and I sat there with mum and dad when I was a child. But ice bath, not so much. So I've done it like on and off, trialed it before when I was living in Finland. But I feel like last year I've really gotten into it more. But yeah, so that's quite recent for me.
And do people have them in their house, or you have to go to like facilities like we have here in Australia?
In Finland, majority of
Yep.
people have saunas at home. Not everyone, but there's like 5 million people in Finland. There's about 5 million saunas, but obviously lots of them are in summer cottage, like summer houses and things like that. But yeah, it's very accessible for most Finnish people. But we do have
Yeah.
places to go to sauna as well if you don't have your own.
Yep. Yep. Oh, so interesting, isn't it? And it's so
Yeah,
great that we're adapting it over here in Australia now. So can
absolutely.
you walk us through what a typical day looks like within your life and what like your routine looks like with the girls?
Yeah, sure. This was also a tricky question in terms of like, it just depends on the day. So our life is more or less bit of chaotic, but so it depends where my daughters go, really. So I work full time, some days in Geelong and some days in Melbourne. My youngest is 4 and she attends kinder, daycare, and then she goes to a deaf school's kinder program as well. And my older one is a preppy who started school this year and she goes to 2 different schools, one locally here in Geelong and one in the deaf school in Melbourne. So it's quite a huge juggle, and every day looks different. But like, first of all, our day starts super early. So my youngest wakes up 4:30 every morning, and she just doesn't enjoy sleeping in. So we're up nice and early, which is handy for those days when we have to travel to Melbourne because we do have to leave quite early. So we we leave around 6:30 in the morning, and those days are very long. We are not back until 6:30 in the evening. I normally pack dinner for the
Wow.
kids to eat in the car and try to be as organized as possible in that way. But when they attend school locally, we don't have to rush as much in the morning. So we leave about 8:15, much calmer, nicer drop off on those days. And the evening routine looks much calmer too. So um, kids can play, we cook dinner, they have showers, we read books and then have some cuddles around TV. And then I'm also currently doing or studying Auslan Diploma, so Australian
Oh,
Sign Language Diploma course, which I do online. So it's 2 nights a week from 6 o'clock till 8:30 in the evening. So it's quite intensive. That's when my husband takes a bit more responsibility of the girls. And then we do have a fair bit of appointments as well that we have to attend, whether it's in Geelong, some in Melbourne. So those all come on top of the kind of ongoing juggle. What we try to do is I use a calendar for where I identify everyone's kind of events and needs. And then we have like a Sunday meeting with my husband where we discuss the week ahead to kind of see what needs to happen and who does and what.
And so with the two of you around that too, would you book all your appointments like for the girls around specialists and stuff like a term in advance? Is that generally how it sort of works?
Yeah, sometimes you get more notice.
Yeah.
Some of our specialists go into the settings, so like daycare,
Okay.
kinder, school, so that makes it a little bit easier. But then there's a lot of appointments like they have their cochlear implants, so they have
Mm.
to go for a mapping appointment in Melbourne. We know well in advance when that's going to happen, so it's kind of easier to schedule that in, or pediatricians or things like that. So you know quite well in advance. Some weeks are heavier, others we don't have as many appointments.
Yeah. And do you find then in school holidays it's just downtime for them as well?
Yeah, definitely more downtime, a bit of a balance. So it's hard because we don't have really time to see friends
Mm.
much during the week. So then I often feel like we're booking a lot of play dates, which is so much fun, but it quite quickly like adds up, and then your school holidays is got gets quite busy. But I try to get done what I need to get done myself, and then we have some time for fun things as well during the school holidays.
Yeah. So then is your weekend a lot of prepping, like food prepping as well for the week ahead?
Yes, we try to do like shopping and yeah, planning that week
Yeah.
ahead. We use Dinnerly, so that makes it a little bit easier in terms of the dinners. But I feel like Sundays, particularly, I love to keep them as a bit of a life admin day where I
Yeah.
get on top of things and just get ready for the week ahead mentally and like practically. And yeah, I feel like if we've had a really busy weekend, I just can't cope with the next week. So we try to keep it as sort of calm as possible.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. My Sunday's quite a precious day of getting organized, ready for the week ahead. So, how do you ensure that the communication with the girls is like effective for them and, it's for what they're up to at the moment? And has there been any resources that you use? Obviously, so they obviously use Auslan as well, do they?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So, yeah, communication is a huge everyday challenge for us, and it takes an enormous amount of extra effort to be able to understand each other. So both of my girls have severe language delay, so they are developing their oral language as well, but it's just a bit slower, and some of their words are not as clear, so it might be hard to understand. So you have to kind of read a lot between the lines, and I have to have a really good understanding of the concept or the context that they are talking about, and make conclusions and really like kind of pick those little clues that they're giving and put them together. So we do use spoken English, Auslan, and lots of visuals to communicate. Um, Auslan is really important, particularly like in the mornings when they still don't have their cochlear implants on, of course, during the day as well. And then, for example, in the evenings when they have a shower or bath, They don't have their cochlears on, so or if the cochlears are not working. So it is something that we use quite like a lot to support the communication. So I consider them bilingual.
Mm.
And then visuals are really important to us as well. So both of my daughters have like visual schedules because there's so much going on with different places that they're going. So they see every week exactly what's happening each day. If we have, like, I have visuals for parties because they often have a party. So they know that on Saturday it's someone's party, or if we're catching up with friends, or if they have a hospital appointment, I have visual for everything. So they know that that day, like front loading them a little bit. Also, I use a fair bit of social stories if I have to explain something a little bit more complex. Nowadays, not so much. That was especially when they were younger. Now we can have a bit more discussion, and a small visual will be enough to explain that. But sometimes there is, like, if we went on a holiday, I would
Yeah.
probably do a social story about that.
Yeah, yeah, which is great. And I love that you've got a visual for them so that they can see, but also you and your husband can also see at a quick glance
Yes.
what's going on this week and where we're
Yeah.
going and things. And
It's
so,
like,
because they could obviously read as well now, though. And so do you
like,
rely,
yeah.
or yeah, do you rely on that? Like, does that help, or it's still visual pictures most of the time?
It's visual pictures most of the time. My
Yeah,
oldest is starting to put like those little cues together, sounding out, and very early stages of blending words together, so not
yeah,
quite yet. But she's starting to make connections, so I could definitely add the word into it and she would start recognizing that. But until now, we've kind of just relied on visuals, and sometimes I just take pictures to just really
mm,
make connection with what we are meaning. But sometimes it's more general, like a clip art photo or whatever.
yeah, yeah, beautiful. Until, yeah, and then they're not just relying on mouth words, it's having these other ways of communicating, which is fantastic. And the fact that they're being supported in school with Auslan as well.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
almost needs to be the second language in most schools now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
absolutely.
that be?
It's wonderful. It is wonderful
Yeah.
to see that lots more schools are introducing that, and children generally really love it. So they love learning also.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how do you manage then, from just what you've explained then, how do you manage to carve out time for yourself? Because obviously, like having to do visuals, having to do all those things, you know, yeah, there needs to be some time for you to be able to recharge, to continue that.
Yeah, it is very important. And I feel like that we go through seasons in our life as well. Like, I think
Mm,
everyone who has young children can relate to that. That sometimes there's so much going on that it's much harder. So last 6 months have probably been a bit harder season for us in terms of taking time for myself. But I like to think of it as like two different things. So I do like small things, and then I try
mm,
to do a little bit like bigger things. So small things can be like this morning before we started, I dropped the girls off and I had a little bit extra time. So I took the dog for a walk in a sunny, beautiful morning, and I had a hot coffee with me. And I even did like a little heat pack for my shoulders. So it was just beautiful time to just come back to myself, to my body. So that was like, I tried to make every sort of little moment like that count. I love doing a bit of meditation when the girls go to bed, or sometimes in the mornings because my daughter wakes up so early. I would love to do like 5 a.m. workout, but at the moment it's not really happening. But if I can like take 5 minutes of breathing or 5 minutes of meditation, sometimes I take a bath. So all of those things that I can do within the space where I am. And like lots of like gratitude practice where I try to list of 3 things that I'm grateful for. They're like kind of so automatic that it's easy not to think that they're part of self-care as well. But then I try to go, like I said, I love saunas, so I try to go every fortnight. I try to go for a yoga class once a week. So they take a little bit more planning and organizing because I take that time off. And sometimes it's easier to do that, and sometimes it's harder. But yeah, just making every moment count.
yeah. And so for you, has that always been like quite natural for you to do that? Or when the girls came along and they were babies, is this something that you've had to learn yourself?
I think it's definitely harder now having children. It's really hard to like just take yourself out. Like my husband's brilliant with the girls, but I guess as moms, we always feel so guilty. So I feel like it's just a constant reminder of if I look after myself, I will be a better mom and the girls will be happier. I will be more regulated. They will be more regulated kind of thing. um yeah, just and just really making those, because it's so easy in the evening, and I do it all the time, like switch off and go to your phone and just scroll. But even if you do something that really gives you an opportunity to come back to yourself, that's what I try to do. Whether it's I love reading. For the past 6 months, I haven't been able to concentrate on reading much, but I hope to reintroduce that. So um, making those little moments for yourself where you can, because I know lots of moms are so busy.
Yeah.
And then everything on top of that is extra, I feel. If you can
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
for
it is.
yoga, if you can do that, that's great. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
the only way to look after yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like trying to integrate that in to keep that level topped up. And if you can then go and do something
Yes.
extra, it's like, yes, that's an extra bonus, isn't it?
Yeah,
But it's
definitely.
something we didn't learn as, I don't know, for you, maybe in Finland you were, but here in Australia, we didn't learn that as kids or growing up. It wasn't modeled to us. It's now that we've learnt more, there's so much more information around it and research that it seems that people are aware of it and taking these things on now.
Yes, definitely. I feel like there's more awareness around that now. And um I think also for me personally, because I advocate for the girls all the time, I advocate at work in the same field, it's so important for me to have that time to sometimes just not be an advocate. So I do try to remind myself how important it is. But yes,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a bit of a learning curve, I think, for everybody, that how do we do that better?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So how do you then foster independence with the girls, like around, their own, activities and things that they need to work on within their routines and things? Is there
Yeah,
anything
that's
that's helped? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the visuals definitely help.
Mm.
So, um, we're not currently using one, but in the past I used like a visual morning chores. Like they were these wooden blocks that they could turn around. They were
Oh, yeah.
magnets and they turn into stars when they're finished. That's We don't use it at the moment because the morning routine is more or less fluent, but like things like brush your teeth and get changed and make your bed and things like that. That was really effective. Um, then, like, I guess in looking at the big picture, we're big on wanting the girls to have strong sense of identity, like deaf identity, and feel that they can fully be who they are. And for us, it's really important that they access both worlds, the deaf community as well as the hearing
Mm.
world, and then develop strategies that help them in both worlds, and that code switching as well, that they kind of know which strategies to use in which environment. Um, and then, like, I think skills like asking for clarification if they don't
Mm.
understand or if they don't hear, we try to build their confidence so that they would be able to like express that I didn't actually understand, or self advocacy skills like because the girls use cochlear implants. We also have a little microphone someone may have seen. It's called Roger. So for example, a teacher can wear it. I wear it when we go outside, and when I speak they can like my sound goes straight to their cochlear implants. It's particularly handy when we go for a bike ride or somewhere where they go a bit further distance away, because it's quite hard for them to identify my voice outside. But recently, what's tricky with the Roger is that you have to remember to mute it when you actually are not talking for the children. So we went to a birthday party before, and I took it because it's so noisy there. And I ended up chatting with another mom, and my daughter came and pressed the mute button because she could hear everything that I was talking with her, and I forgot to mute it. So like things like that was great. I was so proud of her because she expressed that I can now hear, and that's really annoying me. So I'm gonna come and remind you to mute that. So I think we're kind of starting to see that independence developing, or just the fact that they are advocating for their cochlear implants so they can tell us if they're not working. They take them off and they know where they put it. Like at the start, it was like they just took them off and they landed wherever. So we've seen a lot of development, but I guess also learning to take more responsibility of their devices as well in the future.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So do they also need like time where they're just like, oh, I'm just done and I need some just quiet time and want to actually just take it out or not even put it in straight away?
Definitely in the mornings. Yep. So
Yeah.
we don't like put them on straight away. They just kind of wake up slowly, and when they're ready, we put them on. Um, my daughters are very different. So one is like the younger one wouldn't take them off the whole day. She's happy to go
Yeah.
all day with them. She was implanted a little bit younger, so she was 16 months when she got hers, and she like wants them on, wears them all day, sometimes goes to bed with them. Whereas my older one was implanted a little bit older and her journey looked a little bit different. And she got hers different time and things like that. So she definitely is more drawn to having some quiet time, and she's
Yeah.
not distressed if her cochlears like are not there. So she's pretty happy playing without them, especially after school or in the morning.
Mm.
But yeah, sometimes, especially when it's been really hectic day. I think like kinders and daycares can be quite loud environments, so they might need a little bit quiet time playing. Um, but yeah, there's definitely I can see differences between them two already.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. And just back on the Roger thing, I mean, I've worn them at schools so many times when I was teaching, and it is so funny how I love when they come up and go, remember to mute, because maybe you're talking to another teacher that's popped in, or you're talking to another student, and it's just like, they're so good. I love how kids will come up and just like remind you
Yeah.
to mute it, because I'm terrible at that when I
Oh,
was
I think
teaching all the time.
we're all like it doesn't matter. Like I try to advocate a lot for the use of Roger, but we're all just human and it happens
Yeah.
and you forget to press the button.
Yeah, but I think it's great that schools embrace them, because they are. I feel
Yeah.
like wherever, especially when I was doing CRT all the time, casual relief teaching, you would be wearing it maybe all like different, moving from class to class, but you would be always wearing one. They're quite a mainstream thing. It's in a lot of schools and a lot of kids are using them.
Yes, and I can't like obviously I haven't heard it myself, so I don't know how it sounds, but I can
No.
hear the impact that it has for my daughters. So when we go, for example, for a bike ride, or sometimes when we go, we have a birthday party at a BC play park, and you know how they bring the cake or whatever, and I have no idea where my children are, and I just say, it's cake time, come here, and they come back. It's like magic, and all the other parents are like, how did you do that? So sometimes it's so impactful, and like it would be so important in a mainstream school particularly to use it, because it helps with the sound discrimination as well. So my oldest one has some challenges with certain sounds, and when I wear it and say a word, she can actually repeat the word with correct sounds compared to if I said it the word to her without the Roger. So it's really, really beneficial.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. And that obviously reinforces why a teacher would need to be wearing it for her
Yeah,
as well.
definitely.
And so, if you had one piece of advice to give to parents who are navigating similar challenges, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
question.
yeah,
I feel,
if you've got two,
yeah,
that's fine. I'm not going to
it's
limit you, but
I think just acknowledging and knowing that you're not alone. I feel like, especially the start of the journey, I just felt so different from all my friends, from all other people who had children. It felt like their journey looked nothing like our journey. And it wasn't until I kind of started finding people that were on a similar journey where it started to become easier. Because for those people, you didn't have to explain, you didn't have to like, they just saw you and they understood you. So, like, finding a tribe, like,
mm,
you still have your friends and family, and that's great, that's really important. But just having one place where you don't have to try to explain yourself, I feel like that is just so valuable. And that's one big reason why I started a little bit of a passion project myself, which is called Together Through the Storms. I have an Instagram account and a podcast, like you mentioned before. And it was like, that was the motivator for me to create a space where people who felt isolated and alone and feeling like they were struggling, like I was at the start of the journey and sometimes still am, like they can come together and feel a sense of validation and feeling like somebody can see them. And I think another big thing for me personally, what I've learned throughout this journey is that it's so important to match expectations with the current reality. So sometimes it's so easy to have high expectations and like be quite like strict on yourself or hard on yourself. But then you have to look at what's happening in your reality. Like especially when we were going through like ongoing surgeries with the girls, they were just
Yeah.
never ending. Like sometimes we had Macca's for dinner or we had like
Mm.
frozen meals for dinner. It didn't matter. Like that wasn't the priority. It was just having mental health and getting through it. Sometimes it's like it's the little things that you kind of have to think that, okay, this is what we're doing today. It doesn't mean that this is what we're always going to do, but whatever gets through this hard time at the moment. And I think that was the moment where it really shifted for me. And I was less hard on myself and really just looking at what's happening for us and having a bit more compassion as a parent towards yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree with both of your pieces of advice. Myself, there would be my two that I definitely took on and would recommend to people too. Thank you so much, Niina. So how can people connect with you? And I know that you've got a course as well that some people might be interested in, as well as I highly recommend listening to your podcast because the stories from other people, I don't know, just open up your eyes. But for me, I also felt connected to some of those people going, oh, they see me, they get me as well.
Absolutely. So Instagram is easy place to follow. I share a bit of our life and some general, advocacy related things there. So Together Through the Storms on Instagram. And then the podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcast and YouTube. So easy ways to access. And I've done season 1. Where I had other families sharing their journey with child with additional needs. That was so inspiring to hear. And then also some specialists like speech pathologists and play therapists who share a bit of insights for that world, like how to work with a child with additional needs. And the season 2 is coming soon, so I'm really excited to get back into that. But like you mentioned, on top of that, I'm in the early stages of launching a course for any parents who have a child with additional needs, but particularly, I guess, in the early stages of the journey. So creating a space where people can connect with each other, connect with themselves as a parent, and perhaps some strategies to feel more connected and with their child, improve the communication, find that sense of validation, and become more confident in their advocacy skills as well. So if you want to learn more about that, there will be some more information on my Instagram account real soon.
Oh, fantastic. Niina, thank you so much for your time and for sharing all of the things that you do for your daughters and your husband, which we didn't get to really mention him in there, but I know that he also makes this a
Yeah.
lot easier for both of you. So thank you so much for sharing and your tips all around making the things work properly and flow for you as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, definitely a separate mentioning for husband because he's amazing. And yeah, it's hard journey and you don't have to get it right. It feels uncomfortable. It's ebbs and flows. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I got this, and some days you feel like I am drowning, and that's all normal. And that's what I'm really big about, like keeping it real. We can develop strategies, we can become more confident, but it doesn't make that we always have it together. So it's just, validating that it is hard, but we have each other, and we can learn from each other. So thank you so
Definitely.
much for having me here today
Thank
and
you.
supporting this work.
Thanks, Niina.